inquiry into last year's floods in Queensland has found evidence that could trigger a massive legal action against the state government. 3 engineers who operated the Wivenhoe Dam have been referred to the Crime and Misconduct Commission for investigation. The final report concludes that the dam was being mismanaged even before the devastation in Brisbane and Ipswich. The Royal Commission-style inquiry has made 177 recommendations. The Premier and the opposition leader are both vowing to implement them all. Francene Norton reports from Brisbane.
On budget and on time. More than 12 months of investigative work came down to a 650-page 2-volume report.
I know it's been a very intense period of time, and I thank you for your work.
But not without a parting shot from the Commissioner, Cate Holmes.
May I just say that anybody who is genuinely interested in how we manage flood risk will read it closely, all parts of it.
It showed there's room for improvement for a state more accustomed to drought than flood. And it finally answered a burning question for thousands of flood victims. Wivenhoe Dam was operated in breach of the manual from 8 a.m. on the 8th of January 2011 until the evening of the 9th of January 2011. 3 engineers involved in managing the disaster have been referred to the CMC for investigation over the accounts they gave. Mr Eyre, Mr Malone and Mr Tibaldi each had a level of understanding that the March flood report was misleading. A 4th engineer, John Ruffini, was exonerated. So too were Anna Bligh and former Minister Stephen Robertson. It is unsurprising that the Premier did not identify the discrepancies. She depended on receiving accurate information from others. Still, the findings have strengthened the legal case against the state government.
The finding that there has been a breach of the manual opens the possibility of legal action, but it does not of itself establish liability. That is something that will have to be tested with claims being brought forward.
The dam operator, SEQ Water, is covered by insurance, and the Premier hopes mediation will settle the matter. But already hundreds of flood victims have signed up to a potential class action.
If the action proceeds, it's likely to be the largest class action that Australia has ever seen.
But even the lawyers say that could take up to 4 years to resolve.
We'd love to see someone come out and apologise for, causing this damage and this grief to everyone.
The Commission found the engineers could have released water earlier from Wivenhoe Dam if they'd adhered to their manual. But what difference that might have made to homes and businesses downstream remains uncertain. The Commission made 177 recommendations, including a flood study of the Brisbane River catchment, updated flood studies for all urban areas, councils to consider a property buyback scheme in flood-prone areas, and effective monitoring of mine discharges. The Premier's pledged $40 million to help local governments implement them. The LNP leaders matched it.
A new Labor government, if I am re-elected, will implement this report in its entirety, lock, stock and barrel.
Only the LNP team have the energy, the passion, the drive and commitment to implement these recommendations.
But for some whose lives were turned upside down, the report offers few answers.
They're half-baked, these recommendations. They haven't yet got to the bottom of what caused it, and that was ignoring the forecasts.
While the Commission's work is over, the wash-up may go on for years. Francene Norton, Lateline.